The FNAF lore is one of the most complicated story ever made in a game. It's really confusing, has a lot of unanswered questions, and relies mostly on theories. There are always certain topics where the community can be very divided. For example, does FNAF 4 take place in the testing chamber or in Michael After's bedroom? These mixed opinions can cause a lot of anger and rage between the community. Some people cannot accept other people's opinion. So I think it's time that we stop for once with the basic theories and now focus on new, mind-blowing, lore-breaking theories. I'm researching every small detail in the FNAF games and tell you what these mean for the FNAF lore. These theories you're about to hear can change the way you look at the FNAF lore forever, so be prepared to get amazed in this video. Okay, I'll start with the exaggerated talk. No, these theories that I come up with are not meant to be taken seriously. They are very unlikely to be true and are purely made up to make you laugh. Maybe some of them can make a little bit of sense, but I highly doubt that. My goal in this video is to make a theory out of the smallest details in FNAF, no matter how strange and crazy they may sound. Like making a theory on why it's important that Bonnie doesn't have eyebrows. So please, don't take these theories too seriously and know that I also don't believe in any of my silly self-made theories. Now let's take a look at the first small detail I found in FNAF and make a theory on that. There is an interesting small detail on the Celebrate poster from FNAF 1. If you just take a look at the poster, nothing seems wrong. But if you focus more on Bonnie, you can see something unremarkable. For some reason, Bonnie is floating in this picture. He doesn't touch the floor. Now many people would say that Scott made this mistake accidentally. But what if he did this on purpose? When fans noticed this mistake on the poster, someone asked Scott on Steam why Bonnie was floating. Surprisingly, Scott answered the question with this response. Bonnie does not abide by the rules of time, space or physics. It's interesting that Scott responded to this question. Many game developers would ignore their mistakes. So maybe Scott wasn't lying here. Maybe Bonnie is truly some kind of god. But why doesn't Bonnie show his powers in the game? Well, I think there's a really good reason for this. Bonnie is not a god, but a superhero. When William Afton killed the 5 children at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, he didn't know he killed a child with superpowers. This kid itself also didn't know he had superpowers. That's why it was so easy for William to murder him. After years of possessing the Bonnie animatronic, the spirit noticed his special powers. He knew if he would focus a lot on his powers, he could perhaps fly out of the pizzeria. So the first test flight he ever did is seen in this poster. Unfortunate, after doing a lot more test flights, he remembered that he's programmed not to leave the pizzeria. So he gave up on his superpowers. That's why we never seen him flying in the game. If you don't believe me, here is more proof why Bonnie is a superhero. There is no Phantom Bonnie in FNAF 3. That's because he's finally free and can fly out of the location. He's probably flying above us while we try to survive every night with Springtrap. In UCN, Bonnie showed his powers for the first and last time to the player. When the Bonnie action figure is seen on the desk, you'll see him floating. I also don't believe that this is an action figure. I think it's the real Bonnie that swings himself so that he can fit on the desk. And that's my superhero Bonnie theory. I know, it actually makes quite a lot of sense when you think about it. The next theory is about the Ruin DLC. In this DLC, we see Glamour Chica completely broken with no beak and voice box. When you reach the Chica bakery part, there is a secret small room you can find behind the bathrooms. In this room, there is a playable arcade called Chica Feeding Frenzy. To beat this game, you have to survive 20 waves. It's pretty hard, but if you manage to complete it, you will get Chica's voice box. I always found it weird and confusing how this beak ended up in the arcade. It didn't make sense in my opinion. Until now. When I did some research on this mystery, I figured something out. Toy Chica is the only other animatronic that also misses her beak. But this can't be a coincidence, right? Well, if we go back to FNAF 4, there is a part in the 8-bit minigames where we can see a Toy Chica action figure missing her beak. Scott even posted an odd message on his website saying, in the FNAF 4 minigame, why would the tiny Toy Chica be missing her beak? Many people had their own theories. Some believe that the toy animatronics already existed in 1983 and others connected this mystery to the bite of 87. But I have found the real reason why Scott told this to the community. He just wanted to confuse the fanbase and then wait until everyone forgot about this mystery. Then 8 years later, him and Steve will add a random beak in the Chica Feeding Frenzy arcade. Now you probably know where I'm going with this theory. This beak we found in the arcade is the original beak from Toy Chica, not Glamour Chica's beak. Now it doesn't look like Toy Chica's beak, but there's a good reason for that. The last time we saw the official beak from Toy Chica is in FNAF 3, inside a box filled with parts from the toy animatronics. We know that the Fazbear's Fright location has been burned to the ground, but if you read the newspaper on the end, it says that they salvaged some leftover parts. These parts will be sold to the public. Now I think that the Toy Chica beak survived the fire and has been sold to the man who founded the Pizzaplex. With this beak, he wanted to make a new Chica, called Glamour Chica. So he or someone else transformed the beak and gave her a new voice. Then they made more of these voice boxes and stored the original beak safely inside the arcade. So when we give ruined Chica her voice box back, we basically bring back a part of toy Chica. Now, is this not a theory you will believe in? My next theory has something to do with a certain number. Do you recognize the number 4625? I'll give you 3 seconds to think. Did you guess it? It's the number you hear a lot in Secret of the Mimic. The first time we saw this number appear in a FNAF game is in Help 1 and 2's update. When exiting the pizzeria, you end up in a void that shows you a part of the Murray Custom Manor building. On the mailbox you can see the number 4625. When entering this number on the MXS machine, the machine activates and summons MXS himself. Then the fan drives away and the end credits start rolling. In Secret of the Mimic you hear this number twice. Dolly mentions this number when speaking to the Captain Springlock suit.
There are 4,625 tasks ahead of you.
In the Tiger Rock basement, there's a secret area where Edwin worked on the Mimic. Here you can find an audio log that lets you hear Edwin trying to talk to Fiona after her death. He sets the frequency to 4625, and as a result, he hears Fiona's voice. So whatever this number means, it has to do something with the Fiona/MXS machine. Now I was curious if this number meant something outside FNAF, and surprisingly it did. The internet gave me this answer to the number. Number 4625 is associated with a powerful spiritual energy that carries profound meanings. It serves as a reminder to align with the divine and seek spiritual growth. The vibrational energy of 4625 symbolizes strength, persistence, and resilience. Now this answer didn't make me any wiser, so I needed to dig a bit more to understand this number. A lot of websites mention the word angel number. Apparently that are numbers you can come across in your daily life. These numbers are seen as messages from your guardian angels. But what was the message of this number to Edwin? Well, if you come across this number in your life, it means that you become a workaholic. Money and work is the only thing you can think about in your life. So this number was a warning to Edwin that he needed to stop working and appreciate life itself. Unfortunately, he did not listen and died by his own creation. Wait, this sounds like a logical theory. There's nothing weird about this. Can I even keep this in the video? I guess I should make a quick dumb second theory on this to make it right. So the number also had a second meaning, namely be kind to your neighbors. But if you look at the surrounding of Edwin's house, he has no neighbors. So what does this mean? Well, I think Edwin's house was originally owned by the neighbor from Hello Neighbor. Edwin's dad lived in a house next to the neighbor's house, but Edwin's dad was jealous on the neighbor's house. So he kidnapped the neighbor and claimed the house for himself. He destroyed his old house and kept the neighbor inside the basement of the factory. To make sure the police wouldn't notice the neighbor inside the basement, Edwin's dad stuffed the neighbor's body inside the Sleepy Moon costume. This means that Sleepy Moon is the neighbor from Hello Neighbor, not the lost employee or the mimic. If you need more evidence on this theory, I got you. Remember that Steel helped making a Hello Neighbor VR game? Well, this basically confirms that Hello Neighbor and FNAF takes place in the same universe. I know, pretty shocking, right? In all the FNAF games, there are two characters that have the same identical eyes. Pigpatch and Tiger Rock. Okay, they don't have the exact same eyeballs, but it is a coincidence that they both have the exact same colored eyes. Now normal people would say it's a funny detail and move on, but I don't. I know this small detail has a deep dark secret that hides the true identity of Tiger Rock. But you may ask, how do these characters have any connection while one of them exists around 2023 and the other in 1979? Well, it's very easy. Time traveling. No, I don't mean actual time traveling, but someone that can see the future. Now who on earth can look into the future, you might ask? Well, it's a very obvious character if you think about it. This character can literally tell your fate. I'm talking about Candy Cadet. In Ruin, we finally meet Candy Cadet again after the FNAF 6 fire. He tells Cassie a story that basically predicts her fate. She will get tricked by the Mimic and accidentally free him. So now that we know that Candy Cadet can predict the future, how will it have any connections with Pigpatch and Tiger Rock? First we need to know what Tiger Rock is. I think Tiger Rock is the spirit of David that haunts the suit for one main reason: to stop the Mimic. It's the same thing with the puppet. She only stops possessing the marionette until she knows William Afton's spirit is completely gone. Unfortunate for David's spirit, he cannot leave the basement area. He can only warp to different places for a short amount of time. So M2 is of course smart enough not to go inside the basement. Luckily for Tiger Rock, Candy Cadet is somewhere inside his factory that can tell his future. We know that Candy Cadet is in this factory because we can see a small poster of him. Eventually Tiger Rock finds Candy Cadet and learns his faith. He knows this place will burn up and the mimic will run away. The only chance of surviving this fire is by possessing one of the prototype endoskeletons. So he left the Tiger Rock mascot and possessed one of the endoskeletons. After the fire was done burning, Fazbear Entertainment went to the factory and salvaged as many parts as they could. Luckily, they also grabbed the possessed endoskeleton. Now David's spirit just had to wait until Fazbear Entertainment would make an animatronic out of this endoskeleton. So after 44 years, they finally took the parts of the endoskeleton and made the animatronic Pigpatch. Originally the animatronic had yellow eyes, but because it's possessed by David's spirit, the eyes immediately turned back to the colors blue and green. Now David's spirit could continue his quest, killing the mimic. By coincidence, the mimic was also located in the FNAF 6 pizzeria. The employees kept the mimic in the parts and service room because they had no idea how to activate this endoskeleton. So after a few days passing by, David made his move and walked into the parts and service room. He was about to destroy the mimic, but out of nowhere the building started to catch fire. There was no way for him to escape the fire and the animatronic Pigpatch couldn't survive the heat. With nothing to possess anymore, David's spirit moved on to heaven just like all the other spirits in the pizzeria. Unfortunate for David, the mimic survived the fire. So after this long quest to destroy the mimic, he did not succeed. You want more proof on this theory? No problem. In Help Wanted 2, the only mediocre Melody animatronic that Steel made in the game is Pigpatch. They had plenty of choices, but they specifically chose this one with the same eye colors as Tiger Rock. Also in Help Wanted 2, we get to see the Tiger Rock plush for the first time. Now this sounds like a true story, right? Okay, it's time for some smaller theories. The first small theory is about Foxy's eyelap. In FNAF 1, Foxy is the only animatronic that runs to the player. But isn't it weird that the other animatronics don't make a run for it? Sure, they are not so fast as Foxy, but they could still try it, right? Well, I think I found a reason why Freddy, Bonnie and Chica don't run in the establishment. You see, Foxy's the only one with an eyelap. Now you may think, what has an eyelap to do with running? Well, back in time when pirates sailed the 7 seas, they used eyelaps for one reason. Not to hide a missing eye, but to see in the dark. By constantly covering one eye, that eye remained accustomed to the dark, so it would help pirates to see much better in dark places. This is why Foxy is not scared to run around this dark pizzeria. He can see where he walks. The other animatronics are probably scared that they will trip over the furniture. This makes a lot of sense, right? The last small theory is about the mimic's weakness. In Ruin and Secret of the Mimic, we escape for the mimic in the same device, an elevator. For some reason, the mimic always loses against an elevator. In Secret of the Mimic, he fails to open the door of the elevator and almost gets crushed by one. He even loses his arm by the elevator doors in Ruin. But why can the mimic easily throw a forklift out of the way while he can't open weak elevator doors? Well, I think I found a reason for this. Have you ever seen the movie Avengers Age of Ultron? In that movie, Iron Man, Captain America and Thor have a discussion about Thor's hammer. To lift Thor's hammer, you have to be worthy, otherwise you are not able to wield the hammer. The three were wondering if an elevator could lift Thor's hammer. They assumed that it would still go up. So basically, this makes an elevator worthy, which means elevators have a lot of strength. The mimic is of course not worthy of the hammer, so he would obviously lose against someone that is worthy. That's why the mimic always loses against an elevator. He is not worthy. So the next time you see the mimic in the new FNAF game, hide inside an elevator. These were my silly dumb theories on the smallest details I could find in FNAF. Again, don't take any of these theories too seriously. They are not meant to be real hardcore FNAF theories. Except for the theory on the number 4625. That one is pretty accurate to the game lore. Now before you click away this video, I have a task for you. I challenge you to write your dumbest theories in the comment section. It doesn't matter how bad or funny they are, as long as they are funny and totally don't fit into the FNAF lore. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, why don't you just like the video and perhaps subscribe for more FNAF content. Also, check one of these videos out if you have the chance to watch them.